What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Run the Floor podcast, episode 2 of Ball Game Media's very new NBA basketball show. I'm Chris.
I'm
That's your
Christian.
guys' cue.
I didn't know who was going next, bro. I didn't
I
know
didn't
who was
know
going
I
next.
me either.
We'll
Bro, do
figure
it over.
it
Start
out.
it over. Start over. Start over.
All
Start
Get
over.
it.
All right, ready?
Just
I'm
go.
Chris.
Just go. You, Kristen, the Shields, and me.
Got it.
All right, here we go. I'm Chris.
I'm Christian.
I'm Tony.
I'm Omari.
There we go. We'll work on that intro. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty
Little
bad.
delay.
We'll figure it out, though, for sure. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
For
we'll
sure.
figure it out. Packed show today. The NBA is back. By the time you guys are seeing this, 2 NBA games will have happened. The Rockets taking on the defending champion OKC Thunder. Kevin Durant in attendance for the OKC Thunder's ring night. And then the later game, a good old classic between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. So you guys, like I said, seeing this after the games, but real quick, what's everyone's picks for the games?
Give me OKC and give me the Lakers. LeBron doesn't have the best track record opening night. He's not playing tonight. Luka opening night against Golden State. I'll take LA.
I'm gonna take OKC. Ring night, Kevin Durant in attendance. Rockets obviously with no Fred VanVleet, so it's kind of weird how this giant lineup is gonna look with a man running point guard. I don't think he probably will. They probably just have him just bring the ball up. So I'm gonna go Rockets, and then I'm gonna go Warriors. Warriors are opening night. I think they're gonna try and make a statement here against LA. Obviously, no LeBron, but it's still Warriors versus Lakers. It's gonna be a packed show. I'm taking Warriors.
Shields, what you got?
I'm gonna have to go with Houston here. I think they're gonna spoil ring night for OKC. I think everybody's expecting an OKC victory. I think Houston's gonna come out there and at the very least, start the season off we're the real thing. And then as far as Warriors, Lakers, I think you could go either way. I'm gonna lean to Luka though, getting it done. I think the Warriors might need to. They have other issues to worry about. That can't be fixed overnight. Missing pieces.
There we go. Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with the Rockets here. OKC without J-Dub for game 1, so Rockets, it's new, it's fresh. KD definitely wants to spoil their ring night for sure. So I'm going to go with the Rockets, and then I'm also going to go with the Lakers, praying for a Luka Doncic masterclass on opening night. That's what the people need to see. That's what the people need to see. So on today's show, I compiled my list of NBA contenders, and if you guys know the ball game universe, talked about this yesterday on our football pod, I am very strict with the word contender. It is teams that can win the NBA championship, not get there, not maybe if this goes right, No, it's teams that today I think have an actual chance to win the NBA championship. And then the boys are going to react to my list. And then following that, we have X factors for each conference. So sometimes people would do this by team. We wanted to get a little bit more specific, who the biggest X factor is in each conference, the East and West. So get this thing started, my contenders list, and I'll pull up last year's standings on Basketball Reference just so we could see where everyone shaked out last year. My list is short, guys. My list is short. I have 4 teams that I think are contenders this year. Out East, I think it's very simple. There are 2 teams out East that can win the NBA championship. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers and it's the New York Knicks. The 2 favorites, I don't think there's a world where any of those dark horse teams, any of those under the radar teams can go on and win the NBA championship. Now, can one of those teams maybe get to the NBA finals? Sure. Can one of those teams compete with one of these juggernauts out west? Absolutely not.
Nope.
So out east, I have the Cavs and the Knicks. What do we think?
You're not really gonna get much pushback from me, brother. I'm not gonna lie. With the Celtics being depleted, basically lost their whole team. This is pretty much either the Cavs or Knicks finals trip to win or to lose. So I'm also gonna go Knicks and Cavs, and I don't think I don't think much else about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I have no pushback on that. It's both of their conferences to lose, if we're being honest. We've talked about
Absolutely.
Atlanta and Orlando last year, maybe even a Detroit can make a run, but do we really think they're going to make the finals and have a chance to win a title? I think it's just a little too soon for all of those teams. So I'm right there with you. It's Cleveland and it's New York in the East.
Yeah, definitely no pushback as far as like the Knicks. You know, I'm definitely a believer in them. Uh, I do question the Cavaliers. Um, like I might swap out the Cavaliers with Orlando. Um, yes, like the Cavaliers are experienced, but like I'm also so used to the Cavaliers choking. That's just what they do. You know, they have like a bad track record of just not being able to get it done in those games. You know, I feel like they put together a great regular season roster, but when it gets to the postseason, you want your best players to do a little bit more. And I feel like their best players are almost specialists. And you know, I wonder if they could even win if they got there. I
But
like
I
the
feel like
multifaceted ability.
in terms of wanting your best player to do more, I can't really name too many better than Donovan Mitchell that does that. No.
Well, like do more in the sense like is he going to be able to go from like 24 to like 44? Yes. But we've never really seen Donovan Mitchell take over as a creator, like a point guard kind of role, and just like completely dominate a game. He's a good passer, but he's not a point guard like in the same vein as like a Brunson where he takes over a game doing both, or a Curry taking over the game doing both, or an SGA. And these are the kind of point guards that get it done. You know, like he's not that type of guy. You know, he's has a skill set that he does, and that's his best trait. You know,
Yeah, but I think in terms of like personnel and like how they play, I don't really think they need him to be like, and that's not necessarily a point guard. Like obviously you want to be efficient in assist to turnover ratio. You want to be efficient in running your offense, but Donovan Mitchell's a scorer. They're looking to get the ball to him in sets, get him off pin downs, get him off flares, run high double screen and roll with Mobley and Allen, and let him figure it out coming off the screen and roll. He's very capable of doing that. So
he,
I get what
he
you're
is.
saying, though. He's not obviously an essential point guard, technically. I get what you're saying, though.
He's essential because of the scoring that he provides. But the problem is like the Cavaliers, let's be honest, injuries happen to everybody, but they tend to happen to the Cavaliers more than any of the other prominent teams that we're going to talk about, right? It happened to
Yep.
Garland last year. It happened to Mobley last year. It happened to Donovan over the past 2 years in 2023, 2024, where he got banged up. Like, it's just evident that if they even lose one person, their odds drop tremendously. And
You can make
knowing
that
that
case for
injuries,
anyone, though.
you can, but like that's the team that like has literally fumbled like the bag at the last second because of this, you know. And that's not, I'm not holding injuries against you. Like injuries aren't something that you're like going out
Yeah, of course.
intentionally
They
and
just
catching.
happen.
They happen. But at the same time, I'm not confident in anybody on their team to raise in spite of the injury. Whereas like the Magic have two potential guys that I think have the capability where like you've seen when one of them goes down, the other one raises their play. And it was only just a matter of just developing their team with their spacing. I like the promise of the Magic more than I like what the Cavs have shown me. They didn't change anything. It's the same recipe. If Garland goes down, it's going to be the same thing as last year.
Um,
I
the thing about
guess. But good, Christian.
the thing about Mitchell, I mean, Mitchell went down firing last year. He averaged 34 in the second round. Um, Here's a crazy stat for you. I understand the injuries. Jared Allen gave you 11 and 6 in the last two games. Those are not averages, those are totals. 11.6 rebounds for Jared Allen. 3 years ago, we had the infamous "the lights are brighter than expected." Last year it was the rib injury for him, and then this past year it was this. So like, it's not. I don't want to put it all on Mitchell, and probably they were a victim of their own success in the regular season. 64 wins and all that. They didn't really have many times where it was like we're down a guy. What are we going to do? Like they were blowing guys out, so they had a lot of rested fourth quarters too. I don't want to spoil too much because one of the X factors has to do with Cleveland, but yeah. All of that being said, I love Orlando. I just don't know if Orlando is ready to take that big of a step, considering we're going to see what the Franz and Palo thing looks like next to each other again with Bane. I think that's an interesting wrinkle in this Eastern Conference, but I'm super excited to see it.
Yeah, I
I just
just
like
feel
what
like I haven't seen anything, and maybe it's just like you have to project a little bit with the Magic, but like I have no reason to believe the Magic are in that tier with those teams. I love what the Magic did this offseason, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen them on that stage. The Cavs, like, sure, have they come up short a few times? Absolutely. But I mean, we see with these teams over time, like that's the process. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. You come up short a few times so you could go get over the top. Like the Cavs are much just like the Knicks in a way too, where they're much further along in their process. You know what I mean? To where the Magic, like, it would be some like all time shit if they win the East. Honestly, they're representing the East in the finals. Like, kudos to them. Like,
I think a lot would
congrats.
have to go wrong for the Magic to. Well, I would think a lot would have to go wrong for everybody else for the Magic to make it to the
Right,
finals. Not even just them running through a gauntlet and beating everybody.
right. Like, I'm looking at it like when I make my list, like where things stand today at full strength. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No,
Like the
100%.
Cavs. The Cavs have what it takes at full strength. I don't know, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because the Desmond Bain edition could be that huge. Like, it really could be. He, as we all I think acknowledge, like his skill set is exactly what they were missing. So to me, it's just kind of like I got to see it on paper. Not on paper. We've seen it on paper. I got to see it on the floor. I got to see Paolo take that leap that is necessary for them to get to those heights. Which
Yeah.
do I think Paolo could do it? Yeah, but you got to see it. So
Yeah.
I think the Magic are like in the Eastern Conference. They're probably the team like right outside for me. Them and the Pistons are right there. So moving on to the Western Conference, the Big Bad West. So
This
many
is where
good
it gets a
teams,
little
as
spicy.
everyone always says. It's gonna get spicy. I only have two teams.
Wow.
I only have two
Whoa.
teams.
All right. I'm curious.
I have
I
the
think I
Oklahoma
know, but I'm
City.
curious.
I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. Won it all last year. 68 wins, MVP, no questions asked.
Yep.
And I have the Denver Nuggets.
I know it.
Added Cam
Yeah, I knew
Johnson,
it.
got rid of
I know
MPJ,
it.
added a bunch of depth pieces, brought back Bruce Brown, just paid Christian Brown, my freaking dog.
My guy.
Yeah.
I
know
would
it.
be shocked if a team outside of those two teams is representing the West in the NBA Finals this season.
I
Shocked.
I would absolutely positively not be.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't
the
be
reason why
surprised at
is
all.
because, like, don't get me wrong, like the Thunder and the Nuggets have the last two reigning MVPs, right? They just battled it out in a best of 7 series, and they did look head and shoulders above every single team in the NBA this past year. But we can't undersell what happened for like other teams in the West. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is like a ginormous 10-player race, but to exclude the Rockets and like even a team like Minnesota from this conversation, to me, that sounds crazy. Like, the Timberwolves might be one of the few teams in history where they go to back-to-back conference finals, 2 conference finals appearances in 4 years, and nobody takes them seriously. Like that's not common. Like, when you go to the conference finals twice in 4 years, you deserve a certain amount of like consideration. Like,
That's
don't
true.
forget they didn't just make it. They beat one of the people that we're talking about, like, as one of the best players of all time. Like, probably in a single playoff series, probably the best defense I've ever seen anybody put on Jokic in his entire career. Like, beat him. And like that cannot be undersold. Like, this is the same kind of recipe where they have Gobert, they have a tall lineup. They basically started this tall lineup stuff before the Rockets did. And then the Rockets literally went out to build a whole lineup designed for Denver, designed for OKC, like to deal with the Chets and Iharts and the Jokic's and Aaron Gordons. Like, I got to give them their respect too.
I think the Timberwolves and the Rockets actually have the same fatal flaw and it's why I keep them on the outside looking in. They severely lack ball handlers, dude. Both of them severely. I mean, the Timberwolves, like, that's Anthony Edwards, great player, like one of the best young players in the league. You can't undersell what he's done to start his career, but there's a blueprint to slow him down. And it's not an easy one, but there is a blueprint to slow him down. It's make him a passer, and he's not the best at that. He's just not. And with Mike Conley aging, with, what are you going to get out of Dante DiVincenzo? Wasn't really great last year. Rob Dillingham, like, I like Rob, but probably isn't going to contribute here in his second year. So they lack a secondary ball handler next to end. And it's, I mean, similar in Houston. I mean, you lose Fred VanVleet. Like, I mean, look at their starting lineup tonight. Like, who's the point guard? And I get it, like, positionless basketball, like, great defense, but, like, Amin Thompson as your lead ball handler is a problem. It's a big problem, and it's an exploitable problem. So I think those two teams honestly have the same glaring weakness that I don't think you could overcome, especially against teams. I mean, look at OKC, for example. Your ball handlers are Amin Thompson and who? Reed Shepherd against Caruso, Shea, J-Dub, Dort, all those guys. Like, good luck. Good luck.
That's true.
I mean, even when you look at the Minnesota matchup, look at all those guys that they could throw it at.
Yeah,
I get it. I get the Timberwolves argument, though, being as though they did make back-to-back conference finals and with nobody taking them seriously. I'm not a firm believer in. I'm not necessarily going to say Ant because the kid can ball. I think it's more of the pieces around him is why I don't think I would take the Timberwolves serious. Like, Jay McDaniels is cool, but I don't think he's not a piece you're going to rely on if Ant's not getting his shot off. Like, Mike Conley is your lead guard. He's going on 38 years old. Rudy Gobert still can't hit the backside of a barn from 4 feet out. Like, it's a lot of like, it's too many asterisks with the Timberwolves. Like, it's too many what ifs. It's too many of this has to go right. This has to go right. Me personally, I'm surprised you left the Lakers out, even with Bron being 42 and coming off a sciatic nerve. I think, well, I low key understand it because we don't know what DeAndre Ayton's going to look like, and that's still a very big mismatch problem going for other teams. Also, I can't necessarily count Golden State out either. Like, I know it's like a retirement home over there, but until they show me that they can't be lethal come the postseason, I have to give respect to the Warriors as well. Honestly,
the only reason why I wouldn't mention the Lakers and Warriors is because, like, the difference between the three teams, well, the four teams in question that I was like appealing for, and the Lakers and the Warriors is that they have the same issue. They don't even have the defense to compete. Do they have the offense to compete? Yes. Screen. But they don't have the defense to compete. And the defensive gap is just too considerable. Where
you talking about the Lakers?
I'm talking about the Lakers and Golden State. I just think that there's the defense with the Warriors. It's less just straight up defense and more like the size and rebounding and depth issues, like quality depth. Whereas with the Lakers, it's more or less just straight up about like the defense and how much you get out of your best guys. Like, the offense is undeniable, right? They were even talking about how Curry and Butler went 21-5, but this is not the same Jimmy, and this is an older Curry, and to think that we're going to get Jimmy from 23, I just don't see it, and I know we were talking about LeBron and Luka last time and Reeves, but like, it's still the same situation for me with the defense. There's more questions with them than the others.
I'll leave the Lakers thing for a second. Back to Minnesota. No one's talking about Minnesota because they had 2 back-to-back whimpers in the conference finals, non-competitive conference finals. It was 5 games both times. I think, and again, I know who they beat to get there. That Denver series is one of the most impressive series we've seen. I think most people had Denver going back-to-back, or at least because Denver played Boston really well that year. So getting them out of there was really impressive. But Luka got him out here in 5. And then their run last year was a little less impressive. I know we went into the Lakers-Timberwolves series thinking something, but once we realized that the Lakers don't really have a playable center, we knew that when the Mark Williams trade got rescinded. But then JJ not even playing a center and just committing to small ball, and then what Gobert did in Game 5 to close them out. And then against Golden State, listen, we understand what
Steph
happened to
doesn't get
Steph.
hurt. They had low key.
I think
different series.
The other side of that is Golden State maybe benefits from that what if because they'll always have that now. But I just even then, okay, they got them out of there, and then here we go again. They're in the conference finals, and they got mopped by OKC, and we know how dominant they are, but they did not even put up a fight. That's why no one's talking about Minnesota. Now, if we're using Chris's criteria, I'm not mad at his 2-team list because he's talking about right now, today, as currently constructed.
Who can win it?
Yeah, my Lakers argument is surrounded around the inevitable trade we've been waiting for. So I'm also going to save that because that's another one of my X factors. But I don't know if Golden State has enough. I like what they did, but they have the oldest starting lineup in the league if they're going to do that whole Al Horford thing and all of that. They're old, flatly. And a team like the Clippers is like the oldest team in the history of the league, not just starting lineup. And the rest of it, again, I was really high on Houston. The Van Vliet injury just it kind of tempers expectations with that team. It's a lot to put on a first. He's not a first-year guy, but like Amen, he's really young, and like you have a guy that's nearly a first-year guy in Reed Shepherd. You're expecting him with the ball handling. OKC, they won the title last year not because of what they did offensively. They picked guys up 94 feet. They were the greatest defense in the history, one of the greatest defense in the history of the league. And so like that was what they were playing teams. Indiana had insane amounts of ball handling, and granted, that game that went 7, and that could have went a different way, but we really saw the way they shut down guys bringing the ball up. And if you have teams that don't have guys comfortable even doing that, that's a non-starter for me in the West.
Yeah.
So I think the Lakers can get in there, but they have to do something externally. Like you can't make the Lakers into a team that's going to walk to the finals as currently constructed. Just can't do it, in my opinion. It's contingent on getting the personnel, that two-way mobile wing that we've talked about. I'll get to later on.
No, I completely agree. It's hard to bet against Luka Doncic. You guys know I'm the biggest
I think he
Luka
can low-key
Doncic
just
fan
pack
there
back
ever was.
them to a Western Conference, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I'm not
It
mad
definitely is possible, but
then when you get there, he'll run out. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it before.
True.
Hate to be that guy.
I don't know. He's skinny now, so he might not run out this time.
the only last thing,
And he's been beat up. He's been beat up so much this past year, this 2 years, bro. So now that I think he's healthier, slimmed down, I think he got a lot more gas in the tank than he usually would around playoff conference finals time.
Yeah,
that's true. The only last bit that I'll say about Minnesota, man, is that like as currently constructed, they have a very, very deep bench. And like all the things that we're saying, like we haven't seen from them. Yes, it's pretty deep with Shannon, Naz Reid. They have a reliable backup at basically every single spot. The only person they lost was Gilgeous-Alexander Walker, right?
I think that's
a
loss.
I think it is
huge loss.
My whole thing is just like the Minnesota MO up until this point has always been to like expect the unexpected. And I just feel like the fact that we don't expect them to do anything is exactly why I think they should be there. Because it's like it'd be different if we were high on them. Is when I'd be concerned. Yeah, if we were high on them, I'd be concerned because I'd be like, okay, what's the flaw? I'd be looking for something wrong with them. Like, but it's the fact that everybody thinks, oh, nah, I don't take them serious, and I think they just like it like that. I think that's a good point. That's how they prefer it. That's been how it's been.
So I agree. Honestly, like they're a scary team. You don't want to play them because of what they've done over these past 2 years.
You just don't think Minnesota can win it, though.
Right. They could rough this shit up. They could go back to a third straight Western Conference final. Shit, this could be the year that they end up in the NBA Finals. I just don't think they're winning. Bro, come on. A team with Julius Randle as your second best player just isn't winning no NBA.
Exactly, bro.
Like,
that's the real reason why nobody's taking them serious.
That is the bottom. Notice how nobody mentioned him.
If your backcourt is Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, bro, like it's too many flaws.
Yeah,
it's too many flaws.
Nobody even mentioned Randle. We've been talking about him. That's pretty telling to me. That's pretty telling. Just to talk about the two-team list, that it goes without saying who the two best teams in the conference are, but the reason being is we have a team that just won a title, and the other team has the best player in the world, who maybe has probably his best supporting cast he's ever had.
Yes,
I think that's the thing too. I loved that 23 team, and that team was a force, and it just felt like they were destined to win it. At a certain point in that playoffs, there was a level of inevitability that they reached against the Lakers in that conference finals. I had to witness every minute of it. And it's like, okay, they're destined for this. The shots that Jokic was so, but now I even think their margin for error is larger, and that's terrifying for the whole league, not just the West. Jokic, best player in the world. Jamal Murray, if he gives you another healthy year, I like Cam Johnson better than MPJ. I just do. He's a higher IQ player.
Way better.
He's a better basketball player. Aaron Gordon, like, who does not want an Aaron Gordon on their team? Like, I would love a guy like that on my team. And we know who Jokic is. But
I want to cut you off real quick. There was, I don't know if it was on TikTok or Twitter, somewhere it was trending a clip. And like the caption on the clip was like, "Did the Nuggets get better this offseason?" And the first clip was MPJ talking about like how he was doing it with some baddies, and then it flipped to the clip of Cam Johnson on like JJ Redick's podcast talking about like the angles of catching the ball and catching shoots and shit like that. And the prompt was, "Did the Nuggets get better this offseason?"
Like they damn sure did.
Even if they just did like the MPJ Cam Johnson swap, we would have all said they got better, I think. But it wasn't just that. It's Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown was a huge cog in their championship team.
And he knows the system already. He knows how to play with Jokic already.
It's that thing the guys do. They win, they go get paid, and they end up back. That's what he just did.
Yeah.
And Valanciunas, Jokic hasn't had a real backup center for the longest time in his Denver tenure.
Yep.
The Russ thing, in my opinion, addition by subtraction. I know that's controversial, but they're just so much better than they were last year. And just to think, Jokic, one-man show, took the champion 7 games with that supporting cast last year, and now he has a better team. So terrifying in the West.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There we go. So the Shields, I feel like you had the most discrepancy. So real quick hitter, what would your list of contenders be?
My list of contenders would have been a 4-team list. I definitely would have gone with OKC at 1, as you said. Like I genuinely, like, even with the loss of Fred, I just don't have as many questions about the Rockets without Fred as you guys do. Like, I think that like adding KD masks the loss of Fred. Like if KD wasn't as good as he is at just a little bit of everything on the offensive end, if he was just like that scorer and the passing was not there, I'd understand it. But you have 3 guys who can reasonably pass well. So I think the Rockets and Nuggets, 2 and 3, between the two of them, it doesn't really matter too much to me. And then the Wolves would be 4.
All right.
It'll be a 4-team list.
There you go. I just want to, real quick. There we go. All right. Moving. You like that one, Sleazy? Wait, your audio's shot. We lost your audio. I think you're back. No, you're not back. All right.
Yo.
There we go. You're back.
Oh,
You're
my
back.
bad. I was pressing the mute button.
You're good. All right. Moving on. Our X factors for this NBA season. So like I said, we split this up by conference, not by a team. So these are our biggest Eastern Conference X factors. So Sleazy, kick us off. Who's your biggest X factor out East?
My biggest X factor is currently playing for the Orlando Magic, Desmond Bane. This team last year was literally bottom of the league in 3-point percentage. Their best 3-point shooter technically was Caleb Houston, who shot 40% and only played maybe 11, 12 minutes a game. You had KCP throwing up bricks. Obviously, Paulo and Franz's game isn't predominantly 3-point shooting, but they're capable shooters. They can knock down shots. You know, Wendell Carter can occasionally knock down shots. They had Mo Wagner, unfortunately towards ACL, can knock down shots from the long ball. Jalen Suggs, obviously. But you bring in a guy like Desmond Bane, who's predominantly a really good shooter, but that's just not all that he can do. Obviously, he gets him up at a high rate, like 4 to 6 a game. I think it is around 40%. So he obviously can knock down the long ball. What I didn't know from Desmond Bane when I was watching a few of the preseason the Magic. Like it's this really small sample size. He's a really decisive, like closeout decision maker. Like if for instance, what I saw was Anthony Black and Paolo running a pick and roll with Desmond Bane on the wing. He kicked it to him. He made a really good pass out of a closeout down to Wendell Carter for an easy dunk. I think that's another like dynamic he can bring to this team. Whereas he's kicking it to KCP and on the wing, it's either a shot and it's most likely going to be a miss because I don't know what happened to his shooting powers. But yeah, he's also a really good passer, a really capable passer, a really willing passer. Again, very underrated playmaker. And also on the defensive side of the ball, I think he fits right in with this group who obviously the Magic low-key have an identity of being, they want to be a good defensive team with Jonathan Isaac in the mix, with Paolo and Franz in the mix, with Jalen Suggs in the mix, obviously. I think this is literally the definition of a plug-and-play player fitting into possibly a better system than it was in Memphis, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Desmond Bane really grew a lot as a patser, especially when you saw the time that Ja was suspended and Ja was even injured over the past couple of years. You really got to see him take on more of like a traditional like combo guard kind of role where he's not just off ball, really just roaming, coming off pin downs and doing DHOs and all that. He's actually being more ball dominant. That did a lot for him, and that did a lot for Jaren Jackson as well. So adding him to the Magic, where you have a guy who can not only just come off those pin downs, you have a guy who can also make those relay passes. That works really well in Orlando, where you have like Paolo and you have Franz. Like all these guys are like high IQ passers, and that's like a recipe for like success, especially when you look at like where basketball has been trending offensively. The Pacers, Thunder, just lots of motions, a lot of passing, everybody being able to handle the ball and pass the ball.
And I think them bringing in Desmond Bane low key makes Paolo and Franz's life way easier. Where instead of Paolo and Franz being a ball handler in the pick and roll, they can kind of alternate. Where Paolo and Franz can set high screen rows and they'll have the other side pin downs for Paolo. He come off the screen, he make a right read either to the slip or to the other side of the court. Now Paolo can attack a closeout, and he's 6'8", 250. You don't want to see him coming downhill. So I feel like it'll just make everybody's job in Orlando easier.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll keep it simple on Orlando. Like 2 years ago, they won 47 games. Last year, they couldn't keep either of their wings on the floor healthy at the same time, and they went 500. You bring in Bane this summer, you pair a guy that could give them that offensive punch with that defense that they have, one of the top defenses in the league. I don't know what their over-under is on wins, but I'm smashing it. They're easily a 51, 52 win team plus in the East. So, like, that's their argument. If you're arguing for Orlando and making that noise that people think they're going to make, I love that team. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, the Magic last year were bottom 10 in 3-point attempts per game. They were number
I think they shot them, but they had like 11 made per game or something like that.
Right. So yeah, they were 23rd in attempts and they were dead last in made with 11.2. They shot 31.8% from three, which was worse than the league. And I mean, you just expect that to immediately get fixed because you replace a guy in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope who was damn near above 38% for the past 6 years, and then he goes to Orlando and has by far his worst shooting season. You replace that with a guy like Desmond Bane, who not only is a great sharpshooter, but a guy who can, like you said, attack closeouts, a guy who is a very, very underrated playmaker, a guy who should be able to take some of the ball handling pressures off of the guys like Paolo and Franz. So, I mean, I think overall, like I don't know to what capacity, like I said before, like I don't know if they're contenders. I don't think so. I don't think they're contenders to win the thing.
I don't think the Desmond Bane thing moves the needle that much, but I think it is very significant.
They should be a top 4 seed. In the East this year, there's no reason they shouldn't be a top 4 seed.
There's no
reason. It's a disappointment if they're not.
Agreed.
I think.
Jamal Mosley, Coach of the Year. Just saying. It's my coach.
One of my candidates.
Definitely would be a candidate for Coach of the Year.
Love that.
Man, if Jalen Suggs can stay healthy, bro, like.
But he's back now, so
yeah,
that's people are forgetting about that factor too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if he's not healthy, like the trade, they got the Tyus Jones signing. Like just having Bane, like even if Black
Forgot about
starts or
Ty.
Jones starts, like adding Bane to that equation just
Low-key a
helps.
great guard room, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest.
And again,
They
it seemed
got
like the
some
Magic.
dogs.
The Magic have bandwidth in the East. Like you can get away with a lot of stuff. Like they have they have the ability to take their time implementing Bane. Like in the West, you can't do that. You know, you have to go. You know, pedal to the metal opening night, and you have a bad week, you're going to fall down the stand. In the East, it's like no one's behind them. You know, they can look up at Cleveland and New York, but other than that, I think them, Detroit, and Atlanta are somewhere in the same tier, and we'll see who comes out on top out of the three of those.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. The Shields, what you got for us? What's your Eastern Conference X factor?
So like this one was a little bit tricky for me. Like at the risk of being like a little bit complicated, I feel like for the particular individual that like I'd like to call my X factor, it will kind of come down to two names, even though it's really one. So the main person is Kevin Porter Jr., but it's gonna be like a combination of Kevin Porter Jr. and Cole Anthony because of like how their minutes are going to be divvied up. Like either of those names point blank are going to dictate like a very big part of like basketball future, and that's whether Giannis stays on the Bucks or not. You know, if they execute well as like a primary ball handler next to Giannis on that team, making sure that like everything's rolling well, like he'll extend. Like at the very least, if they're good enough where they can interest another person to join or be good enough where they could be used in a trade, that can also work. But if it's a failed experiment and they can't possibly like be good while keeping Giannis, that's gonna be the big change, and Giannis is gonna start looking for a move. It's very much like those Bucks teams at the very end with Kareem there, where it's just like somebody need to come in here and like make some noise.
Yeah, I like that, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I really do like that.
I'm not mad at that. I just think that's putting a lot on two guys of that caliber, and I like them. That roster's just not good. Like it just kind of reminds me of what Cleveland did with LeBron in 18 when they rehauled their whole roster midseason. They got him Rodney Hood, and they traded Derrick Rose, and they brought in these guys. Like they made the finals, but that didn't get anywhere, and LeBron left. And I think Giannis, in my opinion, I don't know what he's going to do. I'd be shocked this time next year if he's a Buck. And
Absolutely.
I don't want to blame that on a guy like KPJ and Cole Anthony. I like another guy who Orlando lost, but it's just I think that's a lot to put on those guys. I think this story has been being written with Giannis for a couple of years now. He's been flirting with the I'm out. Please stay in the East, though. Let's just be clear. Stay in the East. We don't need another guy like that in the West. But yeah, I don't mind it. Again, they can go above expectations, and if the Bucks can sneak into a top 4 seed, who wants to see Giannis in the playoffs no matter what he has around him? That's kind of like what we always said about LeBron in the East all those years. Like, well,
I know New York though.
There. Exactly. It's definitely. I think it's very interesting though.
Yeah, I like it though.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting spin on this because I definitely wasn't expecting.
I didn't know where you were going with the KPJ and Cole Anthony.
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm gonna be. I was in between Kevin Porter Jr. and Kel Ware, but the reason why I didn't go with Ware is because I just don't think that Miami is going to make that big of a dent. But at the same time, I do like if we talked about this later on about breakout players, Ware and Kevin Porter Jr. were going to be on that list, and that really kind of like led me into, as far as being an X factor, how much Kevin Porter Jr.'s like performance this year is going to help the Bucks.
I like it. Christian, what do you got for us out East?
Yeah, so my X factor out East is not actually going to be a player. I'm going with a mentality. Okay, the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. How personal did Cleveland take going out the way they did last season? I know we alluded to Cleveland earlier, but here's just I just can't let this go. This stat: 16 teams in the history of the league won 64 games and had a margin of victory of at least 9 points. Cleveland was one of them, and so was OKC last year. 13 of those 15 teams won titles, and all of them made the finals. Cleveland just did that. So it's so hard for me to look at a team that just did that a year ago, and we're kind of like, New York, like Cleveland should be the team we're talking about right now. Like they should run away with the conference, but we're not, because there's a lot of question marks. We touched on the Jared Allen, 11 points and 6 rebounds in the last 2 games. That can't happen. again, I understand health is a given. They have to stay healthy. But that team was running guys out the gym. I believe they were the only loss that OKC had against the Eastern Conference in the East.
Literally.
So, like, we saw that they matched up well against them. That team, the way they get the three ball up, they were second in 3-point percentage last year. Funny enough, behind Milwaukee, who actually shot it really well. They have all the makings of a team that should be in the finals and should be competing for a title. And I know that they've had a couple of playoff exits that have people really low on them. But if they could come into this season with the mentality of like, okay, because Mitchell was sitting there in the post-game pressers when they lost and was like, I already know y'all are going to be writing all this stuff. We're going to use it as fuel. The truth is nobody's going to care what Cleveland does in the regular season. Okay, we've seen this with a couple of teams. Nobody cares. It's like the Toronto thing when LeBron was in the East. It's like no one cares what Toronto does. Can you beat that guy? So if you're Cleveland, there's not really a guy so much to worry about. Like you should be the team that teams are trying to beat. But it remains to be seen. I just can't let that go. What they did last year was historic. They had one of the greatest regular seasons in the history of the league. And they come into the season, they brought all their guys back. Granted, they lost Ty Jerome. They turned him into Lonzo Ball, who I like. But the core is there, and they're a second eight per team. That's the key. There's no going back now. They traded for DeAndre Hunter. This is the team. So it has to be done with these guys. They can't aggregate salary and things of that nature. So I'm looking at Cleveland, and I want to see how they approach this regular season and beyond.
You're 100% right about Cleveland.
Especially with no Boston. This has to be the year, bro. It has to be.
Yeah. You're 100% right about Cleveland. But like I said, like it's just like I have a really hard time believing in like them as like a suitable team. And to be honest, it's not really their fault. I look at every team that's won like a championship the past couple of years, like even if it is built on like a core of like 4 like crucial players, like every single one of these players is multifaceted. And like they're multifaceted where like they're able to contribute a lot in the points column and they have something else going for them where they're creating a lot for somebody else, or they're an undeniable two-way talent, or maybe they're just like a stat stuffer that just does a little bit of everything, right? And Cleveland doesn't have a guy like that. Well, they do, but he's not who they built around. Like they have Mobley, right? And Mobley is exactly like that in terms of ability, but not like that in terms of mindset. And that's like that's why like I kind of like agree with you were saying, like how personal did Mobley take it, like to get bounced like that? Forget Donovan, because like I know Donovan is a bucket. I know Donovan technically, Donovan's been there, done that.
We know what we're getting from Donovan, give or take. Yeah.
Like the loss from Donovan, to be honest with you, like that comment meant nothing to me because it's like, yo, you got exposed multiple times. Like back in Utah, you got exposed. Like literally got the series stolen from you, right? So like I already know what I expect from you. How about Mobley and Garland? Like how did you take that, right? Because those are the guys you really want to see something more out of. Like every championship team has a guy that does more, right? It's not just a bucket. The guys who are just a bucket don't win.
Two last things on Cleveland. I think if we're having a discussion mid-season of who the best player on the team is, that's really good for Cleveland. Because that means Mobley took another leap. And remember, there was a couple of years where everyone's like, we're kind of getting the same guy back every summer. He's not really getting to the level we thought he would be. And I feel like he reached a certain level last year that we hadn't seen. Can that continue? Lastly, on them, in the conference semifinals, they were the worst three-point shooting team in the playoffs. That can't happen. That was part of their whole success in the regular season, being the second best three-point shooting team with volume and percentage. So that drive, kick, swing offense that worked and beat the crap out of everybody completely abandoned them when they needed it most. So I'm looking for those two factors for Cleveland.
So, Chris, before you go,
I wanted to make this point real quick.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Sorry, because I had the pull it up here.
My bad. Go ahead.
Darius Garland last year in the regular season averaged 27. He shot 47% from the field. He shot 40% from three. Great season, Darius Garland. You were hooping on one of, as Christian said, one of the more historic regular season teams we've seen in recent memory. And then you go over to his playoff stats. 18 points per game. Not too bad. 18 points per game. But then you come over here.
From three.
42 from the field, 28.6% from three. To me, that's the X factor for them. If you had to pick a guy like that, Evan Mobley, can you take another jump is definitely a question. Jared Allen, maybe a little bit more than 6 rebounds over the course of 2 games, we'd like that. But it comes down to Darius Garland, because then you look at Mitchell, he needs a guy who's going to take pressure off of him. Like you were alluding to, like earlier in the podcast this year, it's like Mitchell isn't a true point guard. He's not a natural born playmaker.
Yeah.
Darius Garland is, but Darius Garland isn't able to showcase that when the shot's not falling and the defense doesn't have to pay attention to him. Plus, he's a liability on the other end.
Absolutely.
They're looking. If they're going to look for anyone on the other end, they're looking for him. So he has to.
If he's not producing
to be great on the
offense,
offensive
it's
end.
just like, why are you even there?
I've always been a big opponent on them breaking it up anyway, but they're here now.
It's tough because I agree, and it's weird. But me and Matt go at it about this all the time.
I don't even really know who could you get now that they're a second year team? Like, who could you get?
It's like you look at it, you're like, small backcourt, not going to work. They're going to get picked on defense because they're a small backcourt. That's not why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work because this dude just doesn't show up on the offensive end in the playoffs. Whether he's hurt, whether he's, getting back from an injury, whatever it is. Like, I mean, I said this last year, like, I'm done with the excuses for Darius Garland. Like, he's not some all-NBA, like, superstar player, but you have to hold your weight. Like, you're an all-star caliber player. You have to play like that in the playoffs. He's not the sole reason. Like, they dealt with a lot of injuries. He was one of those guys who was injured in that second round series. Like, but it's every year. It's every time they get to the playoffs, he's dealing with something come playoff time. And a lot of it, I think, honestly, is just bad luck. Yeah. Like, he's gotten unlucky with the eye injury, the mouth injury, whatever it was, like where he wasn't eating and then he lost a ton of weight. That's like, right. He's gotten the shit end of the stick. But at some point, like you're saying, they might have to break it up. Like, this is it. This is it, because when you look at their team and that they're in the second apron, like you said, Christian, like, what else is there to do after
They really can't. This is the team until these contracts expire. Like, that's just how the CBA is right now. Yeah. They can't aggregate salary. They did the Hunter trade, and that was it. And what's crazy is on paper, it looks like nearly a perfect 5. It does. And even we know about Strus. If Strus would be starting, that doesn't really matter. But, like, it just doesn't really make sense what you see on paper and then what you see happen every playoffs. There is something there. And I think sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. But for them, they need to be both. They need to be lucky and good.
So I then posed a question, like, what? Obviously, health is like the main factor, but if everybody is healthy and everybody is ready to go, what do you think needs to happen? Like, is it a different scheme fit? Is it a different sort of defense?
I gave
like,
my
what do you?
answer.
Obviously, Darius Garland has to show up, but
the scheme is.
I think it's that simple.
Pretty good. The scheme was pretty good last year. Like I know it was regular season basketball, but the recipe for the scheme was pretty good. Like, they had Mobley bringing the ball up a lot. Obviously Garland was running his pick and roll with Allen, but they also had Mobley almost running like point power forward of sorts, kind of like creating shots the way Randall does or the way Draymond does, and they really had Donovan and Garland running off ball. Like, the scheme works. It's just that in the playoffs, like Chris said, like, Garland was not hitting the shot in the regular season. He didn't hit. Like, the regular season, he's hitting them. Come postseason, he didn't. And then if he wasn't on the floor not hitting them, he just wasn't on the floor at all. He was hurt. So, like, either way, they just weren't getting those made shots. And that's asking a lot of Strus. And, like, they didn't have other guys in their rotation that could really hit shots out. And, like, Jerome, like, no Garland, no Jerome. That's like half your three-point shooting on the team that you're not getting. So it's like,
you hit the nail right on the head. Like, we sometimes overcomplicate things when it comes to playoffs. It's like, it's a make or miss league. Like, do you remember 2 years ago, that first round, the Lakers versus Nuggets, that was like the closest sweep or closest 5-game series that the Lakers led for 150 of the total minutes. The Lakers lost because when it mattered most, they couldn't hit shots. They didn't get timely stops. Like, a lot of teams for 45 minutes, oh my God, they're even. They're even. When it comes down to it, can we get to our stuff more effective than the other guys do down the stretch? And I don't know. You saw Cleveland lose that heartbreaker with the Halliburton shot. Again, we know what Indiana did last year. But, like, when it really matters. You got to hit that corner shot when it's swung to you. That's the game. That might be the series. So the margins are so small in the playoffs because all these teams are really, really good. And again, I think Cleveland, if they're doing what they should do, at least in the first round or two, you shouldn't have to see them sweat things out. They should end up in the conference finals. Even if a lot of the stuff we said didn't hit. From there and beyond is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Completely agree. My Eastern Conference X factor. So I don't think this is going to have any championship implications, but I think this is an X factor who could rough things up, who could get in the way, who could end the championship aspirations for one of these teams like the Knicks or the Cavs. It's Joel Embiid, man. It's Joel Embiid, and it's not no analysis needed here. Like,
Pretty simple.
can you give me
just
can you
cool.
give me 60 games?
I didn't expect
you
that.
give me
That was
60
a good pick,
games?
Chris. I can't lie.
I mean, you look at the Sixers on paper, and
really good team.
they've done for basically a decade now, honestly. They've done a terrific job of putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
In the front office. They've given them the guys, and they've given them many different iterations of these teams around Joel Embiid. I mean, they give him a chance. They at least give him a chance, especially in a year where the East is wide open. I mean, they seem to always be hitting on their draft picks. Honestly, aside from Fultz and then Simmons forgetting about basketball, but even for a while there, Simmons looked like a hit. And then even in the later rounds, and you look at their team right now, I mean, Jared McCain's starting the season out, but he was the front runner for Rookie of the Year last year. He should come back and make an impact. Tyrese Maxey's a bona fide all-star at the guard position. You drafted VJ Edgecombe, who I think honestly could have been the second pick in this draft. I think he's right on par with Dylan Harper as a prospect. I think Edgecombe is terrific as a two-way guy, could jump out of the gym. He has good jump shot mechanics. He's not really the best shooter, but he definitely has good mechanics to where he can develop into that. You have a guy like Kelly Oubre, Justin Edwards, Quentin Grimes. You have Drummond as the backup, who, like, not the best, but it could be worse. You even have Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry floating around as vets, like, if you need them. Like, they're a deep squad. And, then you have Paul George, who, I mean, he might be more the X factor if he's good or bad or not. But, I mean, I really think, like, if Embiid gives you 60 games, there's no, like, this is better than a play-in team. Like, this is a top 6 seed.
Yeah.
This is a top 6 seed easily.
Embiid,
And then
maybe the NBA's X factor, honestly. Like, how
right,
different
because
the
then
NBA
it's
has
like
looked the past 5 years if he actually had good health for like a solid season.
It's funny because I've always thought like Philly was like the Clippers of the East, and then we get a guy like Paul George leave the Clippers and come to Philly, and it's the same kind of like geometry on it. Their best player is like this super great guy, and he's never healthy. That's Kawhi Leonard. And Paul George, even when if he's healthy, even when he is, it's like he's had those question marks in the playoffs as well after that really special 2013 Indiana run. And they always have a good amount of 3-and-D wings, and it's like on paper, it's like, how could this team not be really, really good? And as we know, a fish rots from the head down. And that's been Embiid. Embiid, MVP Embiid, whatever they did. It's like, I know who Embiid is. We know who Embiid is. But even when we saw him in the playoffs and he was healthy, there were question marks as well. So it obviously comes down to health, getting there. But with them, I'm not even sure if they are healthy, that they can be trusted. And that's the key with Philly for me, because their two guys have severe playoff question marks.
Yeah.
So I don't trust them to do anything of substance. Would we be shocked if they beat a New York Knicks in the first or second round? Would we be shocked?
Not.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It depends on the team.
Would we be shocked if they beat a Cleveland Cavaliers in the first or second round?
Yes. I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked.
I'd be more shocked if they beat the Cavs than the
I'd be
Knicks.
surprised.
The Cavs, because the thing with the Cavs is that the Cavs are basically the better version of Philly with
Like
the less dominant individual
The Sixers
players.
don't have a soul to stand in front of Donovan Mitchell. So, like, if they lose that series somehow, that's way more
like
concerning.
Maxey, like Donovan is the better Maxey, and Embiid is the better Mobley when healthy, but he's never healthy. And then like overall, like Garland's just better than like, you know, like when you compare them, they have the same kind of setup, an undersized backcourt, undersized like lineup from point guard, shooting guard, small forward, but then like two tall bigs. But it still doesn't, like, it's still not going to happen. Like I'd be
It's not a great
surprised.
matchup for Philly.
It's not
It's
a great
not a great
matchup for
matchup.
Philly. The Knicks
But like
are.
if the
Knicks
if
are.
the
Like
reason is
that would be
because we
that would
know
be bad for the
Philly
Knicks.
chokes in the playoffs and Embiid chokes in the playoffs,
No, it's
like
not even that. It's the size.
you could
and
look
the
at Cleveland
skill
and say the same thing.
Yeah,
It's the size.
I'm
It's
talking
more
about
like
in
the
terms of
size
just
and skill set
matchups
thing.
and
Yeah,
and
matchups.
in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah,
just
it's not the
basketball.
best
I don't,
matchup.
it's not a good matchup.
The Knicks, on the other hand, the Knicks do not want to see them as like
Right.
on the other end of their 8th seed.
They do
It's-
not want to.
And then even all those-
not Tyrese and Joel
He will
again, bro.
attack Cat. He will attack
Right.
Cat. That's
And
not.
then even all those other teams that are like in the mix that we probably all project to finish higher than them, you know, the Magic, the Pistons, the Hawks, like wouldn't be shocked if Embiid beats one of those teams in the first round. You know what I mean? Like
Me either. No,
I think this team
absolutely not.
I think this team could win 2 playoff series and like really just rough things up in the East if you get a fully healthy Embiid for obviously not he's not going to play 82, but for 60,
60, that's a hell of a season.
Yeah.
right.
Easy.
Right. So
and I'd love to see, for their sake, I want to see Maxey on that stage, to be honest with you, because he's a killer. And like he gives me that Mitchell kind of like, I know we just talked about Cleveland, but like I want to see him in those high stakes games because I think he's built for that. And he just hasn't been able to play in those kind of games outside of a round or a couple of them.
Shields, you would know as a Kentucky guy. What do you have? First game as a true freshman, 30 points at
Yes.
Duke, number one ranked.
I'm a very, very big believer in Tyrese Maxey, and in terms of like being a big game guy. This is a guy that's kind of like had to always step up. Like you have Harden come in there, Harden leaves, it's step up time. Like, you know, like it's just was drafted in a step up time situation. It has always stepped up. So I believe in him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's cut from that type of cloth. So yeah, I think it's are they gonna go on and win the championship? Obviously not. I'm smarter than picking the 76ers to make some noise like that, but can they be the team that makes things super interesting out east? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So all right, Oksluzi, what do you got for us out west? Who's your X factor in the Western Conference?
My X factor for the Western Conference, even though we literally just talked about them, it's gonna be Julius Randle. We had literally just talked about Timberwolves about how nobody takes him serious. He is one of, if not the biggest reason why we don't talk about the Timberwolves as being a serious contender out west. It's really just about like just being a better decision maker, just being a better basketball player. Like the skill set is obviously there for Julius Randle. He can hit tough shots. He's a really physical player, grab rebounds. He can score off the pick and roll when need be. It's really just it's the little nuances. It's the little things that I think he should, like him and Ant, obviously, they need to get better at together. It's really just that simple. Like it's not really, there's no analytics into it. It's no scheme fit. It's no picking up weight, losing weight, none of that. It's really just, can you be better to help your team be better? Because that's what you're gonna need out west. You can't just, it's not a lot of teams that just have a guy and he's the guy and he's killing as the guy. I don't think Ant's ready for that yet. He can be potentially, but Ant needs a co-star. He can't keep relying on Naz Reid. He can't keep relying on Mike Conley. He damn sure can't keep relying on Rudy Gobert. Julius Randle has to be the X factor for them if they want to win. If they want to be taken serious, he got to put the weed down. If they want to be taken serious, he got to put it down. My X factor for the Western Conference, Julius Randle, Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah. I like what I saw out of Julius in the playoffs, man. Like even
it
though
looked
like
good. It looked good for the most part.
He looked really, really good. Like the whole, especially like when they shifted
the scheme fell off a cliff
and let him be almost like a point power forward. That's really why. That's part of the reason. It's funny you brought that up. That's really part of the reason why I'm not too worried about Minnesota. Like they used Julius almost like a point power forward running into like the end of the season and then throughout the playoffs. You really saw him having the ball in his hands more, and I think it does a lot for Julius's confidence. Like when you have a guy like Gobert next to him, the effort, like Julius's flaw has always been, he competes, but he's not really a defender. Now you kind of like took the whole entire thing off the table. Whenever you have Rudy Gobert, you kind of like have a defense where it's like, yo, Rome, spread the court. I'm in the paint. I'm the anchor. I'll contest anything. Someone come in for a floater, layup. If it's not getting punched, I'm going to be there and I'm going to affect the shot. So now, like, his physicality, his versatility is an advantage on the defensive end, and he can focus most of his energy on the offensive end. And he has a unique, dynamic skill set that a lot of forwards in the NBA do not have. So I like that.
No, absolutely. Randall has had undoubtedly his best playoff run last year. The issue was, and round 3, he fell apart. Round 3 against OKC, he started with 28 points to 6 points, 24 to 5 points, then 24 again. That seesaw is not going to work. I don't care who your number one is. Your Robin can't be that inconsistent. And so,
Absolutely.
albeit those first 2 rounds, I got to see it in round 1. And I was like, who is this guy? Because for all the times in New York, it was like, well, we know how this movie ends. And so I think until he can like put together a full-on playoff run in its entirety, and not necessarily meaning they win the title or something, but be the reason that your team like is still playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't be the reason they lose. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we know teams win ultimately, but you know, that's just not going to get it done. And Randall still has to answer some questions coming into the season.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's a perfect pick for an X Factor because his game is so sporadic at times. You know what I mean? Like, if he plays well, they could beat anyone. If he doesn't play well, they could get beat by
they can lose
anyone.
to anyone.
That's correct.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, I'd like to see Julius Randle succeed. I really would, because he got it out the mud, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a very, very interesting career arc. You know, playing in New York for all those years too, where you're under the spotlight. Like, for a man's mental health, like, that shit couldn't have been easy. You know, taking some of the shit that he got, like, as a human being. So to go to Minnesota where you're out of the spotlight a little bit, and then you see him have probably the best year of his career, and like you said, Christian, easily the best playoff run he's put together in his career. I'd like to see him build off it. And I agree with you too, Tony. Like, his skill set is super unique and super dynamic, and there's not a lot of ways to scheme for something like that because you don't see that every day. There's very few players who play the way he does at his position. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if he plays well, this team can beat anyone. I completely agree there.
For my Western Conference X Factor, I'm gonna go, down south, man. So this is actually kind of tough for me as well, because like there are a couple names that kind of like all do the same kind of thing, but this is the guy that like I had to settle on, Cooper Flag, right? Now, when you look at like players, like all these different teams in the West, it's very, very competitive. Even the middle of the pack teams are kind of convincing, but Dallas is kind of like in the middle. They're not like Minnesota or Houston where it's like, they're going to be there because, everybody's healthy and everybody's squared away. They don't have Kyrie right now, but they're not necessarily in that Sacramento or Clippers boat. Flag could be the difference maker that has them join that top group or leave them like kind of like in the middle where it's just like, oh, you have people, but you're not ready, right? He's in a perfect situation. His skill set suits what they do, suits like what the NBA really uses, is like a dominant skill set, a lengthy wing, good on offense, competes on defense. Like defensively, if Flag's at his best, the front court of Flag, AD, and Lively / Gafford is not a front court that anybody wants to play. Nobody, right? And if like offensively, like if he gets going and he's like a nice secondary creator, because D'Lo, let's be honest, like we have to temper our D'Lo expectations. Like everybody else is gonna have to pull their weight to pull the train while like Kyrie recovers, right? Because like D'Lo, like we've seen this before. Christian knows more than any of us. We've seen this before, right? So like, but if Flag's right, that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous. It kind of gives me like Tatum and Boston vibes. Like when I think about what Flag could be, like that type of fit, it could be nice.
I mean, it's such an odd, like, if you're Flag, you come into a situation, it's like, wait, Luka just got traded for AD. This team was in the finals last year. It's like, I'm number 1 pick, but I'm on a team that was just in the finals. How did that happen? Well, like, that's it's insane. And so, like, I feel, it's funny, the D'Lo point, D'Lo in the regular season is amazing.
Yeah.
One of the best players you'll ever watch.
But you should just might as well cut him after game 82 because I mean, you're not getting anything after that.
Yep.
I think it is a lot on Cooper Flagg to be the primary ball handler. That's what it comes down to for Dallas. They might have the best defense in the league. I don't know what you're doing with AD in the middle with those two centers, and they got a bunch of 3-and-D wings. They got my guy Max Christie. I wish he was still a Laker, but ultimately, of course, you trade him for Luka Doncic. They defensively are gonna be insane. It's just, are they gonna have enough shooting and offensive creation? Okay. And again, I know the whole Kyrie thing. It's like, well, maybe I don't know how that story is gonna end. Will he come back in time? I don't know. They're progressing. All these reports. Like, in the end, I normally don't really care about that. I care about when am I going to get the version of Kyrie that we last saw him at? Because that ultimately doesn't happen when the guy shows up. So that's a lot on Kyrie as well. But it's interesting. You're right. They're not at the bottom of the West. They're not a top tier contender. They're somewhere in the middle. Like, if Dallas sneaks in, and that means something probably went right, and AD was relatively healthy and Flagg did what we thought he would do and beyond, they could be a team. I'm not sure I want to see that team. They almost got in last year, which would have been a sneaky, interesting matchup against OKC if they had won that playing game. They're so interesting. They really are.
Yeah, I flirted with making Cooper Flagg my Western Conference X Factor as well. Yeah, I mean, if he comes in and he's not generational. That word gets thrown around too much. He's not a generational prospect. Yeah. He's not something we've never seen before, but he's a damn good basketball player, and he's a damn good prospect. And if he comes in and he puts it together on the offensive end, and he could be a go-to guy for them, they're scary as hell, man. They're scary as hell. And, like, there's not a doubt in my mind that he'll get better as the season progresses. Will he come in day one and be a 20-point-per-game scorer? Probably not. Probably not from day one. Will he end up probably being a 22-point-per-game guy by season's end going into the playoffs? Absolutely. Like, he'll figure it out. He's super talented. He's very similar. As a college basketball guy, it was very similar to Paulo at Duke, where you were not able to see his full skill set on display. And I mean, we've seen it, trending on Twitter for a few of the viral clips. Like, he has a bag. Like, he could get to his spots. You know what I mean? And he's nasty in the mid-range. He's nasty at just creating space in the mid-range area. He has a better handle than you probably think if it's your first time watching him. Like, he has it. And then you know what he brings defensively. Like, he's just a Swiss Army knife on that side of the ball, playing alongside a guy like Anthony Davis. Like, that's insanely scary on that end. But I mean, if he comes in and puts it together on the offensive end, and then Kyrie gets back and he's healthy, like, they're a scary, scary group that you do not want to play.
I have a few quick questions as to where do y'all think the Mavericks finish in the standings above these teams? Do you think they'll finish higher than Phoenix?
Yes.
Do we think they'll finish higher than San Antonio?
Yes.
I do.
That's close for me. I'll
San
give them
Antonio's a little
slight
rusty.
edge.
I give them like San Antonio next year, I think will be a lot closer. I just think it's a little too soon. Like, there's still, like, San Antonio needs to find a way to make all this fit. As good as all these players are, they're all young. They're all, like, no more than, like, year 3 guys. As good as Wemby is, like, this is the start of Wemby. Like, as good as Wemby's been so far, this really is the start, right? Like, we saw Castle's best with no Wemby on the court. They have to figure that out. Like, Fox was on and off the court. They have to figure out the Castle Wemby thing. They have to figure out all 3 of them. The rookies play a role in it. I think it's a little too soon. I still got Dallas.
Do we think they finish higher than who else is out west? Do we think they finish higher than Memphis?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
John might
easily.
John might
Memphis
actually
can't get anyone on the floor. They can get anyone to stay on the floor. I think
do we
ultimately
think
what
they'll
you're
finish
asking
higher
is,
than last one. My bad. I'm going to keep cutting you off.
Oh.
Do we think they'll finish higher than Sacramento?
Yes.
Yeah. What you're asking is, do they get into top 6? I think what you're asking.
Yeah, essentially.
Because like, so I think they have a good chance to be that 6th team, even if they're a play-in team. I still think, considering all of the factors at play, that's a pretty successful year. Last thing on Flag, his floor is just so high. And he's such a high IQ player. He has the physicals. And if you're smart with that size and the ball's going to be in his hands, I get it. He's not going to be as efficient as a rookie. You know, he's going to miss shots, going to turn the ball over. But like when you are a high IQ guy at that size with that skill set, it's like it's impossible that this doesn't work. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think ultimately for him, you're looking long term what he can be. But just for this year, I just see I don't think it's going to be as bad as many people think it's going to be.
I also think him playing for Jason Kidd is going to unlock a lot of things for him and that team personally.
Oh, I mean, that's a great. I mean, yeah.
At worst, I was actually talking about this. At worst, Cooper Flag in like the first couple of years until it like kind of like transitions to kind of like become his team or however they're going to handle it. At worst, you have like an Andre Iguodala kind of player. And that's like really higher than like the name suggests.
That's not bad.
3 inches taller.
Yeah, like exactly 3 inches taller. Like but you have an Andre Iguodala kind of player. Like, and not like the old one, like no, the good one, like the one that like robbed people of Finals MVP type of like guy right now. Like that's a scary person to have as like your 3rd/4th option, depending on how you're moving. Like, like even in the short term, a D'Lo, Clay, Flag, AD, like Gafford/Lively starting lineup. I don't want to see that. Like,
so do we think he just plays PJ Washington out of the rotation, or
he's a 6th man? That's.
Oh, I think. I mean, yeah, PJ Washington probably not going to start like that. Yeah. I assume they're going to go with AD at the 4 and Flag at the 3. But I mean, Jason Kidd has the world at his fingertips in terms of what he could do with the lineup options and the versatility and different groups of guys he could throw out there. Like PJ Washington's still going to be involved. Najee Marshall is still going to be involved. They're insanely deep. Like
the front is nasty.
They're like a good 10 deep.
Can I get some of those wings? I mean, like, can I get some of those like that team?
I would love Najee Marshall right now.
I would love name anyone. I'll take one of those wings, please.
Yeah. It's insane with Cooper Flag.
Flag at shooting guard.
It's hysterical because Max Christie would be the perfect fit.
Forgot he's even on the
How
team
funny
and
is
he's
that?
not even going to play.
It's like
he might get played out of the rotation. Low key.
This is insane. He'd be the perfect fit for the Lakers. That's interesting, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. All right. What do you got for us out west, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about them. I've alluded to it before. We alluded to it a little bit today. Like, do the Lakers go all in and trade for Wiggins? I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it because that's been the question mark for the Lakers for a couple of years now. Are they going to go get that mobile two-way wing that can guard the best player on the other team? Period. I talked about it last week. This team's defensive personnel is questionable at best. They have, I think, a top 15 defensive ceiling as currently constructed. The offense is taken care of. You have Luka, Austin, and ultimately LeBron. You don't have to worry about that end. Can you get me a guy that can take the task of guarding the Anthony Edwards, guarding the SGAs? Wiggins, we saw him not too long ago win a title being that guy for Golden State. And I think ultimately the Lakers, if they can get more defensive personnel, that would be ideal. But you need that guy in your starting lineup. Lakers send Kleber, Gabe, connect in the 20th. That's kind of the trade. Basically, it's the Lakers' salary filler and the first-round pick. And I think really, like, sometimes as a team, you're bigger than the sum of your parts. A guy like Wiggins, not only can he spot up and hit the open triple, he can be deployed on the opposing superstars, and that takes a lot of pressure off of an Austin Reeves, who was being miscast as like a two-way stopper last year because they had no other option. And Gabe Vincent is undersized. I think he's played really well in preseason, but that's asking a lot of him. And Jared Vanderbilt, can he stay on the floor? The best version of Vanderbilt that we saw was 3 years ago now. And I like him. The shooting's never going to happen. I gave up on that already. But you can deploy him as a bench guy and high energy hustle guy. The Lakers need a Rui upgrade. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Rui's a really good player, but he's being miscast. Him and LeBron play the same position. They are redundant. If you could turn Rui, again, that trade that you just put up, and we get to keep Rui, that's even better. But ultimately, I think Rui would have to be in that deal for Wiggins. I'm doing it. And so that's the X factor for me in the West. Do the Lakers go all in? And when I say that, I really mean because Reeves is still on that $15 million contract. If he wasn't, this wouldn't be possible. And they still have that first round pick in their back pocket. If they can go get a guy like Wiggins and everything of those swing factors that we talked about kind of hit, I do believe the Lakers can catapult themselves into that echelon with OKC and Denver. Lastly, the Lakers matched up well against OKC last year. I understand it was the regular season. And they did with Denver as well. The Luka factor changed that Denver matchup. Denver went from we can't beat them to now, hold on a minute. Luka's attacking Jokic of the pick and roll, and it's not D'Angelo Russell. Like, it's a completely different geometry. And in terms of OKC, the Lakers went in there at the end of the season. And I know OKC, you could say, oh, are they playing for anything? They wanted to win that game. They played all their guys, and the Lakers dirty balled them. Now, again, it's the regular season. I don't mind those matchups, especially considering if the Lakers can land a guy like Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean, touching on those matchups, you don't feel great about it, but you feel better than most teams because you have a guy who can compete with their guys in Luka Doncic.
Yep.
That's all that boils down to. In terms of the Wiggins thing, I think we're all pretty much there with you. Like, go make that happen if you're the Lakers. I will ask, is there another? And we'll see how things shape out, as things move along this season and who becomes available and who doesn't. But is there another guy in mind if it's not Wiggins, or is it like it's Andrew Wiggins or bust?
I think, because like you said, as the season goes along, guys pop up that you're not sure are available. And the Lakers always do this thing. Every time you see the smoke go one way, it's never that guy that they end up getting. Like last year was all about Kessler, and then all of a sudden a Luka trade. I know that's the extremer version of it. Actually, we met a guy like Jalen Suggs was a guy talked about amongst the Laker fan base last year, because it was like, he could be like a D'Angelo Russell upgrade. This was prior to the Luka trade. For me, I don't really care so much about, like, I know Wiggins is 6'8", whatever. The Lakers just need a guy at that guard position that can be deployed on those guys. So Wiggins would be the ideal pick if you're asking me. But I think there are a couple of guys around the league that, and normally what happens is teams, they're going to play out the first 25 games of the year. They'll do the thing where they pretend, I'm going to go for it, I want to win. And then once they start falling down, like, all right, I'm going to be a seller, not a buyer now. So we see that a lot every year. So the Lakers have to be monitoring that. That's what Rob gets paid for. That's what Rob got extended for. Don't even get me started with Rob Pelinka. But yeah, we have this small window left of the LeBron Luka era. And if you're a piece or a piece and a half away, go for it. Just go for it. That's where I'm at.
I'm with you.
If we're talking about like people that like they could get to like suit that skill set, like putting aside like my skepticism about like where the Lakers are going and where they're going, like where they're trending to, it's a little bit difficult. And the only reason why I would say this is like it's like a Wiggins-esque player, like Christian's been saying. I think that like players trend up and down like almost every single year. There's a guy one year who's like a ridiculous defender, really good three-point shooter, and then fast forward like 2 years later and his defensive profile is like lower, his three-point percentage is lower, and so he's no longer viewed as like the epitome of a 3-and-D guy, but he's more of like some secondary ball handler, mid-range specialist. Who am I describing? Mikal Bridges, right? Now 4 years ago, everybody would have said, oh, I want a 3-and-D wing. Give me Mikal, like the first name out of anybody's mouth. Now, the idea of trading for Mikal as a 3-and-D specialist would probably drive certain people crazy. He's okay at it, good at it, but he's not great at it. Like, he can't be the face of your perimeter. Like, he can't be your defensive anchor, right? So, honestly, the Lakers just need to monitor guys like that, guys that trend up and down in terms of, like, their ability to, like, hit the three ball, guys that trend up in terms of their defensive, like, guys who have a defensive reputation but might not necessarily be high up, like, on the market right now, and just see if they can cash in on those guys. A KCP reunion, like maybe they explore that if it's affordable. Like maybe not, but like, I mean, this is KCP we're talking about, like if it's affordable.
If it's KCP of 2024, keep him.
No, but I'm saying if it's affordable, this is a guy you like throw a bone at.
I get it.
If he gets bought out and then he becomes a free agent or something, that's somebody like you call. You pick up, like, because what else do you have to lose? You don't have a guy that can do that, You just got to monitor.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like
For
it though.
sure.
You're not gonna get any pushback from me from Andrew Wiggins and playing next to Bron and Luca.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's just I'm just like I'm so high on what the Lakers could do offensively, and they have those pieces in place. It's just they've had this gaping hole in their roster construction for so long. The same thing applied even when AD and LeBron, when they were together, it was the same idea. We need a 3-and-D wing, and AD was screaming for a big. The Lakers, ultimately, I like what they did with, I like bringing Ayton for the price, but they could use another big. I mean, the Lakers still could use another big. They have some holes at the end of their roster, but ultimately in the playoffs, we're talking about, like he said last week, it's 7-8 guys. Who's your 7-8? Who's my 7-8? That's what it comes down to. So if the Lakers can get Wiggins, that they have 5, 6, 7, 8, they have about that, and I'll take that. I'll take that against the best of the West.
So let me propose you guys this question. If you needed to say like consensus, like there's like 3 NBA players this season that are like the X factors, like they'll change the whole outlook of the year if like they go the right way. Who would that be?
That's exactly what we're doing. That's
No,
exactly
not even,
what
not
we've
even,
been doing
not
for
even,
the
not
past
even.
hour.
No, not even conference. Like if you had to put
One
it to
in
like
the
one
East
name,
and one in the West.
well, not even in for the conference, just like in general, like just in general, like one name. If you need, like, give me like
Low
your
key,
one
probably
name.
Joel Embiid.
Now that we've talked about everybody's name,
Well,
like it's
maybe
who's
Kawhi
your
too.
undisputed? So Kawhi's
Yeah, I
yours.
think Joel is a good one. I think Cooper Flag's up there in terms of like can shake up the whole league. Like if Cooper Flag like hits and is a historic all-time rookie season, the Mavs
It's
can go
spooky.
to the finals.
It's
Honestly,
spooky.
All right.
yeah.
How about you, Christian?
Yeah.
What's your one name? Now that we've talked about everybody's.
I'll stick with it. I think I say all that about the Lakers, but ultimately, like if Luka does this MVP scorched earth tour, revenge, all that thing, like again, he has best in the world ceiling, and you can't say that about a lot of guys. So he can like kind of close that gap on his own, even with a currently constructed Lakers team. I've seen him take a worse team to the conference finals, in my opinion. He didn't have LeBron James next to him. So like if they're healthy, even without a trade, ultimately, I think Luka can take this team to a conference finals, probably. I mean, I know who LeBron is. We know who LeBron is. If he can get right and they're hitting, even without the Wiggins thing, they might be so potent offensively. I don't think you can get a title just with like, the best offense and, a 17th or 18th defense. That's not going to do it for me. But you could get close. You know what I mean? You can get close. So I think Luka, if he does what we think he's going to do this year, he can kind of close that gap for LA, even without a trade, which ultimately I think they would need if they really wanted to really contend for a title, though.
Solid.
And to close this thing out, I'll be short and sweet here. My Western Conference X Factor, it's going to be 2 guys. I talked about them a little bit earlier. It's Amin Thompson and it's Reed Shepherd. It's very simple. The Rockets go out. They were 52-30 last year. They were the 2 seed in the Western Conference. Took the Warriors to 7 games, fell up short. And they fell short because of one guy and one guy only. And his name is Jalen Green. And thankfully, Jalen Green is no longer with them. And they replaced Jalen Green with a top 3 at worst overall pure scorer of the basketball we've ever seen. Touch the orange, touch to the pumpkin. That's a new term. Breadbasket. You guys know the Breadbasket guys? You guys seen them on TikTok?
Yeah.
The Breadbasket guys. They posted something today, and Zach referred to the basketball as the pumpkin instead of the rock because it's an orange sphere. So I'm gonna start implementing that.
It's the season for it too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's spooky
I'm
season.
good.
So yeah, Kevin Durant, one of the top 3 scorers of the pumpkin we've ever seen, touch that thing. And you have a guy in Fred VanVleet who, at your point guard position, seasoned veteran, NBA champion, all-star, and he's out for the season. And like we mentioned earlier, they severely lack ball handling outside of that. So you have this young, athletic freak of nature wing / guard in Amin Thompson, who a lot of people projected to end up being a point guard, but if we're calling a spade, he's more of a wing than he is a point guard, especially right now. And then you have this kid in Reed Shepherd who had honestly one of the best freshman college seasons you'll ever see in terms of his overall impact on his team, what he was able to do shooting the ball, what he was able to do on the defensive end, but wasn't an above average playmaker there at Kentucky. So I think they're severely lacking playmaking. I think if it's on those guys to step up and be playmakers and be ball handlers if this team wants to get to where they want to get to. Do I think they can do it? Honestly, no, I don't. But if this team wants to get to where they want to get to, those guys have to take a step up from where whatever consensus thinks they are right now, whoever consensus thinks they have to be better than that, especially in the ball handling department. So,
Fair enough, man.
Yeah, I agree. More or less on the part, if they want to get to obviously what you just said, if they want to get to where they need to go, they need to be heavily reliant on guard play because obviously we already know what we're getting out of KD, Sengun, and Steven Adams for the most part. It's really just it's the others, it's the other guard play, the guard room. I do think Reed Shepherd is going to play a very valuable role to this team. Not even just outside of being a quote unquote point guard. I think he's gonna bring a lot of 3-point shooting to the team, obviously, because that's damn near his best trait. And I don't really think Amen is gonna have to be the point guard for them. Technically, like you would want a traditional Chris Paul, Tyrese, and want to play make for others, but I think they're gonna lean the more Sengun route, kind of let him run the offense in the half court set more than just Amen's just gonna bring the ball up. They're gonna run some sets, get it to either KD in the post, get it to Sengun in the post, and we'll figure it out from there. I don't really think he has to be the typical prototype point guard. I just think he has to not turn the ball over. Like he has to be able to read off a pick and roll. He has to be able to know the sets, what to get to, where to be on the floor with those guys. And I think that'll just come with time, with the more reps, the more consistent they get with each other. Again, I don't think they're gonna make the finals with Amen as their point guard and Reed Shepherd backing them up. But I think again, they could rough it up a little bit.
So I completely agree. Like those guys, what I'm alluding to is just like simple point guard things.
Yeah.
Which they don't have to be Jason Kidd when you're playing next to a guy like Alperen Sengun. But they have to be able to set up an offense. They have to be able to operate out of the pick and roll to some capacity. I mean, it's the big 2025, you know what I'm saying? Like where
you got to be
as
able to
much as Sengun's going to be a hub and they're going to run actions with Sengun in the high post and guys cutting off him and things like that, you still need to have a pick and roll offense. And that's what Fred was good at, making reads off the pick and roll, creating shots for himself off the pick and roll. Sometimes he missed those shots. Sometimes he missed a plethora of those shots, but he created them. And that's something that Amen Thompson and Reed Shepherd, like, I don't know if they're capable of. Even a guy like Reed, who like profiles with his size as a point guard, even in Kentucky in the Shields, you could attest to this. He had the luxury of playing off the ball, playing alongside a guy like Rob.
Yeah. So he played off ball a lot. He kind of did a little bit of everything. They kind of ran like a more open kind of flow. When he was at Kentucky, it was more Justin Edwards. Like it was actually very similar to the Rockets, honestly, where they had multiple people running the offense at a given time. I think honestly the biggest thing for men, guys, like obviously to have the shooting come around like long term is perfect, but just like the little things, getting like add to your mid range a little more, get that floater going, your free throws, like. You drive to the rim so much, you're going to get fouled. If you can, like, become a good free throw shooter or decent free throw shooter, those are all the little things that'll, like, get teams like OKC in trouble. Like, if they're going to stick to, like, let's say, for example, they want to stick, like, say, like, you hypothesize an OKC matchup, right? You get Caruso or somebody in foul trouble, that makes it a lot easier, So it's like, those are, like, the things that, like, the Rockets got to pay attention to. Shooting's not your strong suit. You still got by a lot without shooting. KD, you have a closer now. So, like, for a man and Reed, like, just hit your catch and shoots and just get to the rim and hit your free throws. It's kind of simple and dumbed down.
It's simple, really. It's simple.
Yeah, it's simple.
It's
simple, but
it's
difficult.
Right. It's things that, like, they haven't to this
They haven't
point in their
shown
young
yet,
NBA careers, they haven't shown that they're capable of doing those things
Yeah.
at the level required. I'm not even going to say at a high level, but to the level
the
required
base
out of them.
minimum.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So.
To put a button on it, with a men, like the glass half full of this is like, I understand everyone's looking at this year for Houston, but they have a largely young core. I understand the KD factor to that, but I mean, KD just signed, what is it, a 2-year extension, so he'll be there. And again, if guys like Steph and KD weren't playing in LeBron's era, like we'd be talking about those guys' longevity, like they've been amazing for so long as well. I mean, I think having the ball in a men's hands for a season, no matter how this season ends for them, it can't hurt going forward. It'll bode well going forward. Like, it can help him expand his game. I think the extra responsibility on a young guy like Reed Shepherd, like we talked about, I don't think that can hurt either. That can only get a guy more prepared going forward. So I think Houston, you alluded to it, is going to use Şengün way more of a hub, and they have a lot previously, but even more now, and that could help him even expand his game. He's looking at reads differently. He doesn't have a guy like Fred VanVleet to rely on so much more, so he has that kind of workload. So I think going forward, maybe next year, this experiment this year can give them even more going into next year. And now you bring back VanVleet, and it's like, okay, VanVleet's looking around and saying, all right, I don't have to be the only guy with the ball now, because they had to do that for a whole season. Yeah. I think that's an interesting wrinkle with Houston this year. And I get it. That's hard to tell a Rockets fan, because as fans, we are impatient. We want it to happen now. But if you're Houston, knowing how young of a core you have, and knowing that KD relatively, as we expect him to still be good going forward for a couple of years, that could end up helping them next season.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good way to look at it. It's just tough when you bring in a guy like KD, expectations just change. But I mean, I completely agree. In the long run, though, for the Rockets, like these are good problems to have. You have to give your young high draft picks the basketball, and they have to improve on things. Like, oh man, what a tough scenario to be in.
Yeah.
It's like,
also, a little tidbit to add in. Go ahead. Keep going.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the only little tidbit without add on is that like you saw a lot of their lineups changed a lot last year. Like they were notorious for that. So there were long spurts where even Fred was healthy and Fred wasn't even playing, or Fred wasn't even part of it. There were times last season where Fred's shot left him as well. And so like you didn't even have shooting from the guy that was supposed to be your shooter. So I don't think the Rockets are as like brand new to a circumstance of not having Fred or not using him as people might think. Like and then you swapped Jalen Green for KD. Let's not forget how ginormous an upgrade that is in every single way.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right. I think that's everything. That was a good second pod. I enjoyed that one a lot. I honestly enjoyed that one better than the first one. I'm not gonna lie. Because that kid with the glasses
actually
the other guy
stayed the
here.
whole time,
because the kid with the glasses is
there. You go.
But you guys at home, thank you guys so much for watching episode 2 of the Run the Floor pod. We appreciate all the support you guys showed on the first one. Drop a WRTF in the comments down below if you made it this far. Make sure you guys keep liking the podcast, subscribe to the channel, follow us on all our socials if you haven't already. And with that,
let's run it.